All right, so Unit 5, Day 7 notes. These notes are basically, you're talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, um, equations of parallel and perpendicular lines, and then at the end, we're going to be identifying functions. All right, so first and foremost, what you need to know and understand about parallel and perpendicular lines um, is that the parallel has the exact same slope as the slope here. So whatever the slope is, that is going to be the slope of the parallel line as well. For perpendicular, it's going to be the opposite. So if it's positive, it'll be negative. If this is negative, it'll be positive. And the reciprocal, which is a flipped version of whatever is there. So if the a perpendicular, if it's this negative 3 over 2, the perpendicular would be positive 2 over 3. Okay, so we're going to move through it that way. So what is the slope of the line parallel to this line? So if this slope is 1, because it has nothing there, so there's a 1 there, the parallel slope would also be 1. Okay, so what is the slope of the line parallel to this line? 1, because this one is 1. Same. So parallel, same. And then for perpendicular, opposite and reciprocal. I can't spell. Reciprocal. All right. So opposite and reciprocal. So what is the slope of the line? If it's 1, the opposite is what? -1. And the reciprocal is basically 1 over -1, which is -1. For these particular, for 1, the reciprocal and the opposite are the same. Okay, so it's going to be -1. -1 is the answer here. 1 is there. Okay, so let's go here. Consider -3 over 2x minus 9. What is the slope perpendicular first? Perpendicular, negative, reciprocal. If this one's -3 over 2, okay, you know that the reciprocal is positive 3 over 2. I mean, the opposite is positive 3 over 2, and then the reciprocal. So it's going to be positive 2 over 3. This is your answer for the slope. Okay. And what is the slope of the line parallel? If it's parallel, it's the same exact slope. This slope right here is -3 over 2. Yours is going to be -3 over 2. That's your answer there. Okay. All right, so what is the slope of the line parallel to this line? What's the slope of the line perpendicular? For this one, you have to solve for y first. So you can't see what the slope is until y is by itself, like the ones up here, where y is by itself already. So here, we're going to get y by itself by first adding 3x to both sides. So this now becomes -9y equals positive 3x minus 6. So we're just going to put these side by side like we've been doing. Divide by -9. Everything gets a -9. Okay. So y equals, and of course, if you feel uncomfortable, you just want to put 3 divided by 9, okay, which becomes 1/3. So you know that's -9, so it's -1/3 x. These two really don't matter, but we'll say -6. You know, 2 negatives actually become positive, so you know it's going to be positive 6 divided by 9, and that's 2/3. Okay, but in this case where it says parallel, we just need to know what this is, which right in this case is going to be -1/3. So if it's parallel, -1/3 is your answer for parallel, okay, because they have to be exactly the same. But it says perpendicular, it's going to be -1/3. First and foremost, you're going to make it positive. So this one's positive, and instead of 1/3, you're going to put 3 over 1. And if you have 3 over 1, it's just positive 3. Okay, so this is perpendicular. Positive 3 over 1, you're not going to put anything over 1. Okay, all right, So for this one, same thing. We're going to first solve for y. Sure you read it correctly. 8x plus 7y equals -2. Okay. You're solving for y. Subtract 8x from both sides first. 7y equals -8x minus 2. And we're getting y by itself. Divide everything by 7. This becomes y equals -8 over 7x. You can't simplify that. Same thing here. Minus 2 over 7. Can't simplify that. So we want the line perpendicular. Okay. If our slope here is -8 over 7, perpendicular would be positive. And now we take the reciprocal. So we'd have the opposite, which is positive, and then the reciprocal, which is 7 over 8. That would be perpendicular. Okay. For parallel, we just, whatever this is, -8 over 7, that would be your answer for parallel. Okay. That would be your parallel equation or parallel slope. All right, so here the equation of the lines are given below. So we have y equals -2 over 5x minus 8. We have 10x minus 4y equals 4. And we have 5y equals -2x plus 6. Now, in order to look at these and tell the slope of each, we have to get them all y equals, okay? So they're not, but we need to get them that way. So line 1 is y equals -2. So this one right here is fine, okay? Our m is going to be equal to -2 over 5. We're good with that, okay? Slope is -2 over 5, because that's what we're determining when we're determining if it's parallel, perpendicular, or either, okay? So for line 2, it is 10x minus 4y equals 4. We need to solve for y. Subtract 10x from both sides. Okay, we have -4y equals -10x plus 4. And now we need to divide by -4. Okay, so y is going to be equal to -10 divided by -4. You know the answer is going to be positive. So we have 10 divided by 4. And our answer, we want it to be, we do not want it to be a mixed number, 2 1/2. So I'm going to push second and then push that AB button again. If it's something weird, but when you push enter, it gives you 5 over 2. So positive 5 over 2x. And then 4 divided by -4 becomes -1. Okay. So for for line 2, your slope is, it looks like 5 over 2. Okay, positive 5 over 2. And then let's get this one. Again, let's get that one where y is by itself, okay? So we're going to divide everything by 5. So y is equal to -2 over 5x plus 6 over 5. And the m there is going to be equal to -2 over 5. So for each pair of lines, determine whether they are parallel or perpendicular. So line 1 and line 2, okay? It looks like this is -2 over 5, and this is positive 5 over 2. Looks like line 1 and line 2, they are perpendicular, okay? Perpendicular. So then you have line 2 and line 3. Okay, line 2 and line 3, positive 5 over 2, -2 over 5, also perpendicular. And then we finally we have line 1 and line 3, line 1 and line 3 are the same. -2/5 and -2/5, those are parallel. Cancel. Okay, parallel. So perpendicular, and then the parallels right there. Let's try this one. This one is y equals 3x plus 8. Y equals 3x minus 3. We know the slope here is 3. Slope here is 3. And for this one, we need to solve to figure out what the slope is. Solve for y. Okay? Subtract 6x from both sides. And this becomes -2y equals -6x minus 8. And I just put them next to each other. Divide by -2 every single term. So this now becomes y equals -6 divided by -2 is positive 3x. -8 divided by -2 is positive 4 plus 4. Okay, so this one, what is the slope? Looks like it's 3. Okay, so basically for this one, all of them are parallel. They all have the same slope. None are perpendicular. Okay, all of them have the same slope. They're all parallel. Okay, so I can just say all parallel. All right, here it says, consider the line y equals 3x minus 6. Okay, so we know that the slope here, that's important, slope is 3. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to this line and passes through -8, 4. I made it x1, y1 because we're going to use this slope. If it's parallel to this, it has to be the same slope, 3, and it has to go through this point. So I'm going to use, for A, I'm going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. How do I know? I have a point. I have a point right here, and then I have a slope. Point, slope. This is point slope formula. So y minus y1 is 4, 4 equals m, which is 3 times x minus x1 is -8. -8. Okay, and he says write an equation. You can just write it in point slope. So here it becomes y minus 4 equals 3 times x plus 8. That is the equation in point slope. If they did want slope intercept, you'd have to solve for y by dividing here, multiplying. This becomes y minus 4 equals 3x plus 24 and add 4. Okay, so if it was in y-intercept that they, slope intercept that they wanted, it'd be y equals 3x plus 28. That will be your equation, but this can also be your equation here, where it's y minus 4 equals 3 times x plus 8. This is actually an equation. It's point slope equation, but this is your slope intercept equation if they wanted that. Okay, you can keep going from there, but you don't have to if they don't want it. So now we have that A. So for B, it says find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to that and has that point. Okay, so in this case, what is perpendicular? If it's positive here and perpendicular is opposite, this one's going to be negative. Okay, we're finding the slope. This slope is 3, so this one's going for perpendicular is going to be negative, and the reciprocal. Remember, that's 3/1. So the reciprocal is 1/3. Okay, the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3, and then the opposite is negative. So -1/3 is the slope. That's our new slope, and the point is -8, 4. Okay, so same thing. We're using our slope, our point slope formula. So y minus, and your y1 is 4, equals m. M is going to be -1/3 times x minus -8. Okay, and in this case, this would be your answer if that's what they want. That would be your answer. Instead of 2 negatives, I made it +8. Okay, this is in point slope. If you wanted to distribute and add 4, you could get it in slope-intercept. But you can leave it just like this, point slope. It's fine. It's an equation. It doesn't tell you a specific type of equation. All right, so here, consider the line y equals negative 4x. So our m here is negative 4, okay? Our slope is negative 4. Find the equation on line perpendicular. So if the slope is already negative 4, if it's perpendicular, you know it's going to be positive, and it's going to be 1 over 4, okay? So your new slope for perpendicular has to be, m is going to be positive 1 over 4, and this is your point, x1, y1. So if you have, for A, you have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? This is our point slope. Our slope, we said, is positive 1 over 4, so this is going to be y minus, our y1 is negative 2, m is positive 1 over 4 times x minus 7, because our x here was 7. So now this becomes y plus 2 equals 1 over 4 times x minus 7. This is it. Okay, this is our equation in point slope form. If you want it in the slope intercept, you distribute and then add 2. Subtract 2, sorry. Distribute and then subtract 2 from both sides. But you don't have to. You can leave it right like that. For B, find the equation of a line parallel. If it's parallel, it has the same slope. So this slope is, if this slope right here is negative 4, it should have negative 4. So in this case, our slope is going to be negative 4, and our point is x1, y1. We're going to use point slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. Y minus, and then y1 is negative 2 equals negative 4 times x minus 7. Okay, go ahead and make that y plus 2 equals negative 4 times x minus 7. That is your equation in point slope form, and it's parallel. You can tell because it has the same slope. This is perpendicular, the opposite and the reciprocal slope. Okay, here you go. All right, so now next we're moving on to function. Okay. It says for each relation, decide whether it's a function or not. So when it's a function, the x value does not repeat, okay? For a function, the x value does not repeat. So in this, we have an x with a b, a g, a w, and the z. We're not worried about what the y is. So here the x is b, g, w, z, does not repeat. Is it a function? Yes, it is a function. Okay. So in this situation, we have 3, negative 7, 4, positive 7. Does the x repeat? No, it isn't. It is a function. Okay, it's a function because the x does not repeat. In this situation, chair goes to W, pen goes to W, pencil goes to W, tree goes to M. In these situations where the domain or your x value, remember domain are x values, when only one line leaves it, then you're good. Okay, as long as it only has one line leaving it, it doesn't matter if they all go to the same thing, as long as one line leaves the x value. Okay, so this one is also a function. Okay, if you have here for the domain, as you see, this has one line, and then do you see this too? It has 2 different lines coming from it. It goes to chair and it goes to door. Cannot happen. Not a function. Okay, not a function because this has 2 different lines coming from it. If it goes to 2 different places, it is not a function. Okay, and your range, of course, represents your y values. Okay, so here your domain is x, m, f, s, c, and c. 2 c's in your x, and it goes to moon and sky. Your c's cannot go to 2 different things. Okay, it doesn't matter what those things are. So this C goes to moon, this C goes to sky. This is not a function. Okay, let's look here. X, Y, S, Okay, B and B. B goes to -5, B goes to 1. B cannot go to two different numbers. Your answer is not a function. Okay, let's look here. So we have 2, 5, -9, and 4 for your x values. 2, 5, -9, and 4. These are all your x values. So that's all you're worried about with a function. So since they're all different numbers, you are, yes, that is a function. Here, Z, X, T, G. Yes, this is a function, all different x values. Okay. So finally, on the last page, they want you to state whether these are functions or not. Now, how can you tell if it's a function? You can tell if it's a function if you can, it's called the vertical line test. Okay, vertical line test can tell whether something is a function if you can draw a vertical line and touch 2 points on the graph. It is not a function. So here, as you can see, if I drew a line here, I would touch this point, but this is an empty point. It's an empty point, so it does not count, but this point counts. So in this case, no matter where I draw a vertical line, I only touch 1 point on the graph. This is a function, yes. Okay, same thing here, vertical line, vertical line, vertical line, touches 1 point, it is a function. So touch this point, touch that point, touch that point. Same thing here, vertical line, won't touch anything, wouldn't touch but 1, 1, 1, 1, okay? This one is also a function. So if you can draw a vertical line and only touch 1 point, then it is a function. So, but this here, okay, I can draw a vertical line and hit 1, 2 points on this graph. This is not a function. If I can hit more than 1 point, it is not a function. Same thing here. I can hit here and here, both of these points. Okay, I can draw a vertical line and hit 2 points, not a function. Finally, a circle. I can hit 2 points, 1, 2, not a function. Okay, so that is Unit 5, Day 7 notes.